Luckily, we have Danielle McNamara, who's going to talk to us about NLP. Now, she's not part of the entrepreneur set, but she just preferred to be on Monday. So Danielle is going to talk to us now about, she's a professor from the Learning Science Institute in Arizona State and will present a talk on intelligent game-based assessment and tutoring. And remember, put your questions in chat and we will answer them after Danielle is finished. Thank you. Go ahead, Danielle.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Let me rearrange my view here so that I can share my slides. There we go.
Okay, looks
all
good.
Right. Thanks. That's great. All right. So I'm going to center in on intelligent game-based assessment and tutoring. And with what I do in particular, I tend to focus on literacy technologies. So I'm going to briefly go through some of the things that we have done and what we are doing currently, and then I'm going to move into how to think about this larger space of AI-driven assessments and tutoring. And so if you would like to access any of these, you can go to adaptiveliteracy.com. So for example, one of the things that we've been doing has to do with machine learning and natural language processing. We started off with some of the things that went into iStart and then developed Cometrics, and we've developed many tools that are available online. One of our objectives is to facilitate the use of natural language processing across the board for researchers as well as for educators. And so one of the things that we've seen or across the board is how much power natural language processing has, combining that with machine learning, which is inherent to natural language processing. We can detect students' literacy skills as well as text scores. You can assess the quality of explanations, paraphrasing, summaries, essay quality. We've developed component scores to capture variance within large data sets. And we also have found that we can use various corpora to assess individual differences, like in prior knowledge, vocabulary, reading skill, etc. So it's a very powerful means of obtaining information about the learner and the learning context. Another thing that we have focused on is reading comprehension strategies. So we've been developing a tool called iStart, and it began with self-explanation reading training, and it's the adaptive instruction and training for reading comprehension strategies for inference making, including explanation and bridging inferences and elaborations, as well as summarization and question asking. And so within this tool, as well as the other tools that we've developed, we focus on creating both regular and game-based practice that has automated feedback on the quality of their verbal response. And with that, the backdrop is using natural language processing combined with these pedagogical models that drive the how you give feedback and what you are kind of pushing the learner toward. Another tool that we've developed is called the Writing Pal, and its means to provide students with basic writing strategies. And so a lot of students have a lot less knowledge than you might think about the kinds of what writing looks like and how to approach the writing process. And so Writing Pal gives instruction on writing strategies, but it also includes games that are interactive and adaptive, as well as the means to practice writing through prompts that we provide prompts. Teachers can create their own prompts, and with automated writing evaluation. And so we've worked for the last 15 years or so on different iterations of the kinds of automated writing evaluation using formative feedback for students, pushing them to use these writing strategies. So they both address problems. One is addressing the challenge of many students are faced with text that they just don't understand, and many students are not provided with basic writing opportunities with feedback. Our goal in developing these kinds of systems is to meet the needs of multiple stakeholders. So you have the student, of course. We always develop teacher interfaces as well. So we've heard mention of dashboards. Dashboards are hard to develop, and meeting the needs of a teacher and figuring out what kinds of information they need and what kinds of information will help them to help their students. We also always develop experimenter interfaces. So iStart and Writing Pal are modular. They can be manipulated. So if you want to conduct experiments to examine various aspects of comprehension and writing, these tools are available to do that. They work, and so just very briefly, they enhance the performance on the target skills. They also result in more positive attitudes, and the games are in particular quite effective in pushing the students along and increasing persistence within the environments. So some things that we're doing right now, carrying this forward. Right now, we're developing iStart Early. iStart Early is for younger kids, so it has a theme related to the space, and they are traveling through space and learning various types of strategies. They go from ask it and reword it, to find it, to summarize it, to explain it. And it's game-based. And so we've been developing the games as well as the algorithms that are more appropriate for these younger readers. So that's been a fun project that we've been working on for the last few years. Another fun project that we've been working on, it carries forward the Writing Pal. It's called the Writing Analytics Tool. It's a tool that really focuses more on assessment than it does on instruction. It provides automated feedback and scaffolding for teachers and students to provide feedback on 3 types of writings: summaries, independent essays, the ones that like in Writing Pal, as well as source-based essays. So we've been working in the last few years on developing the corpora, the databases, as well as the algorithms to provide feedback, as well as the tools. So developing tools for teachers that meet their needs. We've been working with focus groups to examine what kinds of things will be more useful to them when they are teaching their students how to write. Another thing that we're working on has to do directly with assessment. I think most of you are, one of the things we are concerned with is how to assess literacy. And across my career, I've tended to use traditional reading assessments like the Gates-McGinnity or the Nelson-Denny. And in those, I'm sure you've seen them, you get a passage and then the student answers questions, or potentially in a vocabulary test, you'll see a prompt like this. They might gawk, and then you choose the word that means the same. And there are different levels for them. What we've been working on are assessments that can integrate within our tutoring tools, but also be used outside of them in the sense of providing game-based literacy assessment. So we've been working on developing literacy assessments that can be provided within the context of games and across games. Ultimately, our goal is to develop games and leverage games so that we can combine the game-based mechanics and their experiences within the games, along with the natural language that they are producing and using natural language processing, to predict their literacy skills while they're in the context of the tutoring systems or just within the games. We've had quite a bit of success. So for example, we have a game called Vocab Flash, and within 5 minutes, we've developed, the students can engage in this game, and it accounts for about 76% of their performance on a standardized assessment, which takes about 20 minutes. So we're also working on how to leverage these games to predict reading comprehension, and those studies have been pretty successful as well. Right now, we're working on using an array of games so that we can, where we want to go with this is to be able to assess not only reading comprehension as captured by something like the Gates McGinnity, but also their writing skills and capturing their skills as they grow across time and within these learning environments. So that was just a really brief overview of some of the things that we're doing in the space of intelligent game-based assessment and tutoring. One of the things I want to move more to the larger space of what is happening in the realm of AI and educational technologies. And as you know, over the past 3 decades, we've seen quite a bit of growth. We have seen talks on orchestrating learning interactions, orchestrating the interactions for teachers, between students. There are tools that will orchestrate using an artificial agent as well as with parents. Our objective really is to augment human capacity, supporting teachers and parents, informing policymakers, as well as stealth assessment, so revealing the learning process. And that's one of the powers of AI, is automated and stealth assessment, and using, combining AI and machine learning to reveal the learning process and what students are learning. So just to recap some of the talks that you've seen, I think that the speakers that have been in this workshop really well represent the progress that's been made. So star-studded lineup here has been made in the world of AI. You've heard about robots. You've heard from Mike on adult learning and writing and orchestration, and Carolyn did a wonderful talk on social analytics and collaboration. So you heard from Chris and Ken and Val and Andrew Lan and Neil and Lewis 2 times, and Yvonne and Robbie, and all of these are representative of the massive progress that has been made. It's so exciting, the progress that's been made over the last 15 years. And then very self-centered plug here on technology-minded behavior. So shameless plug on 2 papers that have come out recently, if you'd like to see reviews. One is by Ryan Baker, and the other one's by Katie McCarthy, that summarize some of these and where the field is at and where it's going, and the research that's needed. It's a shameless plug because I'm the editor, and then for other reasons where little names are scattered about with my children. So hope you enjoy those papers. So here's another way of thinking about this massive landscape of learning sciences that we created this figure in order to kind of capture the different aspects of the research in the learning sciences and where we need to go from here. So you can think about it in terms of individual factors. So that's one of the things that we are examining. Another has to do with contextual factors. And of course, we're looking at outcomes. One part of that is the educational technology. So we are, as a field, attempting to change contextual factors by creating educational technologies. That's kind of the goal, is to change the context, meld with the context, improve the context. And then on this side, this is where artificial intelligence comes in helping to predict individual factors as well as predicting outcomes. So you can place some of your research within this framework and what you're doing, but also think about what else there is that can be done. So within this realm, you can think of when you have artificial intelligence to predict individual factors, we can use stealth assessment in the context of these educational technologies. And we can also think about predictive algorithms that we use using artificial intelligence to predict outcomes. Now, the space that we have for this is, actually, I'll go back to this for just a second, is that what we tend to see are very small studies that focus on one factor or another. You have, studies with 30 subjects that only focus on belongingness or reading skills. And one of the things that this has done is that we have not had the large enough data sets, databases, to look at the large scale what's going on, because all of these factors interact with one another. In order for us to really understand this ecosystem, we're going to have to think about large scale learning sciences. Another framework that may help to understand the scope and the landscape of assessment that we have thought through is the AI-based assessment framework, as we coined it, which separates out purposes and procedures. So along these lines, if you think about what you're doing in the assessment world, maybe this will help to kind of frame it. So first we have goals. The assessments are often for personalized training. So for example, you can think about auto tutor, and its goal is to give personalized training in content knowledge, or in iStart, its goal is to give training in reading skills. And then also summative and a formative assessment are two other goals. The constructs vary, and that's kind of the landscape that I was just showing you, the massive number of constructs related to knowledge, skills, affect, strategies, learner states. And then data sources. We can leverage multiple types of data sources. We have performance, we have clicks, their behaviors, their actions, what do they do next? We have the language they use. Some systems leverage biometric data, and some systems leverage multimodal data, so different kinds of modes of data. And then another factor that comes into play are computational methods. A lot of systems use Bayesian formulas. That's the history of intelligent tutoring systems. A lot more systems are using natural language processing. We've talked about that today and in a couple of the prior meetings. And underlying is machine learning. Another factor that comes into play is visibility, whether it's overt. Does the student know they're being tested? Do they know they're being assessed? Or the degree to which it's stealth. And many systems combine the two. And you are being tested now, but sometimes what they're being tested is not overtly what they know about. And that's the case in iStart, where we're often testing for different things while they're engaging in tasks. So I just present that in case it's helpful to you to kind of digest the landscape. And that landscape is large, and it really is interdisciplinary. In order to move forward, we really need to think about interdisciplinary behavioral sciences, as well as learning engineering and the collaboration between amongst the different expertise that is necessary to build these tools. So that's one thing that underlies a lot of what we do, is that there are a lot of people coming in and playing major roles in contributing their expertise and knowledge.
Yeah.
So thinking about where do we go from here, one of the questions you might be asking yourself, and what this is purposed around, is, do standardized tests improve education in America? Do lectures improve education in America? And I think what we know is no, they do not. And so as we move forward and thinking about this large landscape and putting it together and thinking about how to cover this large landscape, one of the issues has to do with the need for big data. And that is what that is what Lewis was talking about. And there's a lot of movement on the problem of data being compartmentalized within each platform. And so work is now being done to create the means for researchers to access these digital learning platforms. And I think that that is critical to moving forward. What we need, these large-scale reading, research and development infrastructures that open up data. We need more of them. We need more digital learning platforms to do that. We need more universities to do that, so that we can have a complete picture of the student over the long term. One of the things that we're doing at ASU is called the Learning at Scale project. And I'm going to skip over this quite quickly, but if you would like to learn about the Learning at Scale project, where we are opening up ASU data to researchers to conduct studies and to access the data, please contact us, because it's a very exciting new development. It sits within the IES Digital Learning Network. So these are the digital learning platforms who are working on this to open up their data to researchers so that we can connect these. The next step, however, is to be able to connect digital learning platforms together so that we can conduct research on students across multiple contexts and across time and across their lifetime.
And we're going to have to stop now, Danielle, but I thought that last slide was incredible. The amount of data that's being made available is outstanding. Okay.
There's my plug. We need to collaborate, and there we go. And I'm done.
Cool. Thank you very much, Danielle.